Hey everybody, John here from the esports department going over tonight's two-game LPL slate. I'll be honest, it's not a very exciting one. Probably going to have a really short video here. There's not too much to go over with this one, I don't think. You might have noticed that I removed the record against winning teams stat. We're starting to get to the point in the LPL now where they're getting towards the end of the season and they've played almost all the other teams. So I don't think it's as important. Starting tomorrow is when I'm going to do the kind of new setups that I was talking about, where we're going to talk about teams' playoff positions for every matchup as well, since I think that's going to start being increasingly more important. As for the ones that we have tonight, we start off with Vici Gaming at minus 450. They are 6-6 on the season. Their gold per minute, 1739. They're up against DMO plus 285. They are 1-11 on the season. Gold per minute of 1685. So I'm sure you can guess that Vici is going to be massively outweighing DMO in every category pretty much. I guess DMO has a higher first blood, but other than that, you're looking at advantages across the board. Only a 7% advantage in dragon percentage, but advantage across the board for Vici. Same as many matchups we've talked about recently, and the DMO doesn't really have a legitimate reason to pick them as far as I'm concerned. Vici has looked really shaky in some of their recent matchups. They're playing Aches this time, which I think is the better version of Vici. DMO sticking with Zubin and Yui, which is kind of what they've been doing. I haven't actually gone through here and eliminated the people that aren't playing, so might as well do that while I'm talking. I do think Vici's looked a little shaky recently, but it's hard to really give any sort of legitimate reason as to why DMO would be winning there. They look like arguably the worst team in the league. I would say worst team in the league, but I guess there's arguments to be made for some other ones. That said, I'll talk about the overalls of the slate in a minute. For the kill per win and death per loss, Vici with a very low kill per win, although DMO's death per loss is pretty high. They're going to average out, let's see, 31, 32, so 16 even for Vici. If you believe in DMO, the numbers are big, 17.6 and 19.2. I would definitely be heavy on DMO if you believe in DMO. Going to the second matchup, we have Suning at minus 450. They're 9-3 on the season. Up against OMG, plus 295, 3-9 on the season. The stats for these teams, 1788 to 1732, so reasonably close there. The goal differential per minute, however, plus 87 to minus 78, big gap. Looking at first blood, first turret, it's first blood to OMG, first turret to Suning. Dragon percentage goes to Suning by about 7%, and at 15 minutes, OMG is about minus 445, and Suning is plus 89. So, with this slate, the only thing that I would say is if you're going to play GPPs, I just would not play Vici and Suning. That's all I can say. Get involved with DMO, get involved with OMG. Neither one of them necessarily have a great reason why you'd expect them to win. OMG is rolling out a new 80 carry here, Eric. I think I actually kind of really like OMG rolling out a new 80 carry. I think that could be really good for them. OMG is a team maybe I would target tonight. I just don't think you're going to get any value out of pairing Suning and Vici. The ownership should be very straightforward on this slate. It should be Vici, followed by Suning, followed by OMG, followed by DMO. Super straightforward there. But yeah, I just can't see it being a good idea to play the two favorites on this slate. They're going to be so absurdly highly owned. Get yourself involved with the underdogs. It's going to lead into a bigger concept that I want to talk about, which is at about this point of the LPL season every year, we're hitting right about the point. We talked about it on the Gold Card podcast. The LPL starts to go haywire about this point of the season. Usually that's because some teams have locked up playoffs, other teams are still fighting for it, teams are trying out new people, the teams that are in the playoffs are willing to give a look to their backups because they know that they're pretty much locked, and you're definitely going to come across that in today's, especially with Suning. Suning definitely capable of messing around if they want. DMO could do whatever they feel like. They're not making the playoffs. OMG can do whatever they feel like. They're not making the playoffs. The only team here who is really in the hunt is Vici. Everybody else here, I think, is pretty capable of some wild stuff. And when people are capable of wild stuff, I would start getting even heavier on the dogs. I don't think I'll play a double favorites again for the rest of the season. OMG probably going to be a play for me tonight. I'm certainly going to have some DMO. But don't play the two favorites on this slate in GPP, I don't think. It's just going to be a waste of your time. This is one of those slates where you could definitely win the big $15 and lose money on the tournament. Just not something I'd be looking to do. Try out some OMG with the new 80 carry. Get him in there. He should have lower ownership because he's brand new. People don't like messing with that in case there's a sub chance. That would be my advice. That or play some DMO and try to get one over on Vici, who hasn't looked too hot recently. Looking at cash lineups, though, for cash you're definitely just going to have to play the favorites, and it would be Vici and Sunning. The projections would tell us that the best combination of Vici and Sunning is a SOFM captain with 4 Vici. That seems reasonable to me. 4 Vici, not exactly where I'd really want to be. I'd much prefer to be heavier on Sunning in general. But, let's see. Actually, they have Vici out projecting. Sunning out projects in the jungle. Vici out projecting at 80 carry. Sunning out projecting at support. So they have them pretty close. So SOFM out projecting Aches, so they put SOFM as the captain. You could switch SOFM and Aches and have Aches be your captain just in case you're worried about Sunning losing to OMG. But this could be kind of a cute little cash lineup. I think for me, I think I would just switch Aches and SOFM if you're going to play 4 Vici. It just makes too much sense to me to play your Vici captain. Even if it thinks that SOFM is going to out-project, you're already playing 4 Vici players. I think switching to Aches makes sense. The only reason maybe not to do that, so I'm having like my own little internal debate here about what the best cash lineup is. The only reason not to do that is that Aches could possibly get subbed out. That is a thing that can happen. So maybe you do stick with the SOFM. And don't put the guy that could be subbed out in the captain spot, especially since SOFM out projects anyway. Okay, I've waffled back and forth a few times, but I think I actually prefer the SOFM captain with 4 Vici and Sword Art. That makes sense to me for a cash lineup. But that's about all for this slate, really. It's not a very exciting slate. 2 very big favorites in a 2-game slate. And I think it's pretty much just comes down to, I would just focus in on DMO or OMG and just try to get some lineups with one of those 2 at least if you're going to play GPPs. Not a super exciting one tonight, so I'll just end the video there, guys. It's a pretty boring one, but I'm hoping to have some new exciting stuff for you guys starting tomorrow when we start talking about playoff pictures and stuff. I think it's going to be very interesting, and we're getting into the biggest edge portion of the entire year for a League DFS player, the playoffs followed by Worlds. Just huge edges to be had at Worlds especially, so keep everything in mind, guys, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow as we start breaking down playoff pictures. See you later, guys.